Simon from Square. Today we're going to talk about Windows host file. I'm not a Mac person, I'm not a Linux person, so I'm not going to talk about them, but I think there are similar things you can do there. But I'll focus on what I know. The reason we would use a Windows host file is to make our computer think that a domain name points to a certain server. So the main reason I use this is if we've developed a website, we'd normally put it on a development URL, so normally a subdomain of our own website. Client can look at it, they can sign stuff off, they can tell us if they've got any feedback, there's a mistake here, or we'd like that changed, or can we move this over there, and we get all that done. And then obviously it comes to the day when we're going to go live. Scary day. What we don't want to do is just go live with our dev site, push that to the live domain, and bang, switched on. If there's any sort of problem, for example, the URLs are saved in the database are the dev URLs, it'll work, it'll be fine, but it'll be the wrong URL on the top, customer won't like it, and more importantly, at some point we'll probably delete the dev environment, and then the website will break. So we don't want to do that, and what we do want to do is test it, so we use the Windows host file for those purposes. So first thing we do is I go to my Windows and I type in host. In fact, no I don't, I type in Notepad. So I always do this in Notepad, right click and then run as administrator. If you don't run as administrator, you won't be able to edit the host file. Next thing, so yes, I do want to run as administrator. Next thing you'll want to know, I'll explain that, is to go to file and open. And I'm actually already in the right place. And I might copy this location into the notes of this video actually. But the most important thing to know is to go to that space. It's different on different versions of Windows, I think, so you might want to Google it. You can see that I have done so here, and I found out this is Windows 7, I'm on Windows 10, so is there a Windows 10? There isn't, but same difference, I think, on Windows 10, but if you're on an earlier version you might want to check that. Anyway, so I now need to change this to, it's on text documents, I'm going to change it to all files, and that allows me to see the host file, because it's not actually a text file. So I'll double click on it and open it, and this is what it looks like. You'll see that there's a sample host file with some demo stuff there, which you can copy, and you'll see that I've done it for some other stuff. So anything with a hash at the beginning has been commented out, and in this case what I will do is usually I will aim I'll aim the website at an IP address. So this is the IP of my server where my cPanel is and everything else. And as you can see, I know my IP address is 5134.13.32. So if I had a website that wasn't pointing at this, I would put mywebsite.com there, and you can actually also do a space and then have two in a row if you want to, or if you prefer you can do them on separate lines, which is just a bit easier to troubleshoot if you think there's a problem. But there you have it, that's all you need to do, and then when you save it and exit it, it might take a second or two to update, but it is normally pretty quick, and that will then, for example, if you want to point your dev site, you would use this IP address, you would set up your server with the correct domain name. Don't change the domain name over to point at it yet, but use the host file instead, so it thinks the domain name points at it. It'll pick it up. You can test things fully, you can check the URLs are not pointed to the dev site, you can check nothing breaks, you can check HT access is set up correctly, you can check that everything's still secure, all those types of things which you might worry about. This is the way to solve that. So I hope that helps somebody in the future. This is something we do on every single site. Before we go live, we would always test it in this way, just to make sure we can see that nothing breaks before we flip the switch. So yeah, I hope that helps. If it does, write in the comments if you've got questions or anything. I know this is, if you haven't done it before, it's kind of scary and you might think, what on earth is that? Just stick with it, just do it. All you need to remember is IP address space and then the domain name. You can do another space on the other domain name, and then it'll point. Don't forget, after you go live you need to come and comment this out again, because otherwise you'll always be pointing at that dev site, and one day when you delete it you'll think the website's broken, but it may in fact not be. It might just be your host file. But more importantly, once you've gone live, you need to be able to check the live site and make sure you're seeing the same thing as the client. So make sure you delete it afterwards. Right, that's all for now. I'm going to save and close this and stop recording, but if you like this, please do subscribe, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.